recordings of the Pentagon attack that have been released are unclear. In the years since Garrison was sent this impactful film of the Pentagon being hit on September 11, various recordings that show, or identify with, the assault on the Pentagon have been discharged, yet these seem, by all accounts, to be distinctive to what Garrison got. This implies a significant bit of proof identified with the 9/11 assaults as yet being withheld from general society. Two recordings demonstrating the Pentagon being hit were authoritatively discharged by the Department of Defense in May 2006. They had been recorded by surveillance cameras north of the crash site, at a checkpoint that autos experienced on their way to a parking garage at the Pentagon. Be that as it may, Garrison evidently alluded to these in his diary and clarified they were diverse to the video he saw. He specified another video, other than the one Carl sent him, that had been as of late discharged and indicated something that to numerous does not resemble a plane colliding with the Pentagon. His diary was distributed only a couple of months after these two recordings were discharged, and the recordings for sure indicated something that to numerous does not resemble a plane hitting the Pentagon. The Washington Post depicted the question in them as a silver spot low to the ground, while the Associated Press portrayed it as only a thin white obscure. 5 edges from a video that demonstrated the Pentagon being hit were discharged informally to news associations in March 2002. These, nonetheless, were simply excerpted from one of the recordings that were formally discharged in May 2006. They were thusly irrelevant to the video Garrison was sent. A couple of more recordings identified with the Pentagon assault were discharged by the FBI in late 2006, yet these were additionally clearly unique to the video Garrison got. Dissimilar to Carl's video, they either didn't demonstrate the Pentagon being hit or didn't demonstrate the assaulting aircraft or missile flying toward the building. Among them was film, discharged in September 2006, recorded by 6 surveillance cameras at a Citgo corner store close to the Pentagon. The video had been reallocated by the FBI close to the Pentagon assault. A manager at the service station had said the surveillance cameras there were sufficiently close to the Pentagon to have recorded the snapshot of effect. However, this was evidently not the situation. Legal Watch, the general population intrigue bunch that acquired the recordings from the FBI, noticed that the recordings demonstrated that the Citgo cameras did not appear to catch the real assault. The last video identified with the Pentagon assault to be made open was recorded by a surveillance camera over the DoubleTree Hotel in Arlington, Virginia, and was discharged in December 2006. Yet, this too neglected to reveal any insight into what collided with the building. The picture quality was poor, and a nearby examination of the account by CNN uncovered just the resulting blast and no picture of the fly that probably flew into the Pentagon. Absence of footage of the Pentagon attack made Garrison suspicious. Larry Garrison's claim that an option that is other than a Boeing 757 hit the Pentagon on September 11 is bolstered by different bits of proof, notwithstanding Carl's video, that give occasion to feel qualms about the official record of the Pentagon assault. To be sure, Garrison has shown that a motivation behind why he needed to see the video Carl depicted to him was that he had thought about a portion of this confirmation. He was suspicious that no recording had been discharged demonstrating Flight 77 as it quickly slipped toward the Pentagon. From the day of the assaults, I was troubled that not one picture or video was caught of the stream that flew at a low height close to our country's capital and focused on the focal point of our nation's military may, he composed. While a few people had approached asserting to have seen the Pentagon assault, not one bit of video for the systems to play again and again in the days after the assaults had surfaced. Video that circulated demonstrated the consequence of the Pentagon being hit, yet not simply the effect. Having run on by Washington and its encompassing regions ordinarily, Garrison remarked that he felt exceptionally safe in saying that there are more journalists, cameras, and camcorders per capita there than wherever on the planet. He along these lines thought that it was difficult to trust that not one camera caught the 757 shouting over a thickly populated region toward the Pentagon. Battalion likewise addressed whether Hani Hanger, the criminal who professedly flew Flight 77 into the Pentagon, had the fundamental aptitudes to complete the assault, and whether it was even conceivable to fly a Boeing 757 into the Pentagon in the way that, as far as anyone knows, happened. 757 pilots said there was zero chance of a novice carrying out the Pentagon attack. Half a month prior to he got the email from Carl, a man had called him and asserted that he had proved that it was incomprehensible for the harm at the Pentagon to be caused by a traveler stream, since it was unimaginable for a plane of that size to fly at an elevation that low, at that speed. A couple of days after the fact, Garrison addressed one of the pilots of a 757 he was going to board for a business trip. Battalion asked the pilot, who said he had gathered a huge number of hours of flying time in his profession, on the off chance that he had the aptitude to fly a 757 10 to 20 feet off the ground at a speed of more than 500 miles 60 minutes, which means in the way that Flight 77 was supposedly flown toward the Pentagon. Tas Yeager couldn't do that. The pilot answered. Tas Yeager was a flying pro and aircraft tester who turned into the primary man to fly speedier than the speed of sound. The pilot clarified that planes the extent of a traveler stream don't respond in a moment, and the control inputs take more time to change the plane's height. The huge surface regions and the heaviness of the plane would make it difficult to have the level of control you would need to fly at that elevation without colliding with the ground, he said. I truly don't figure it would be conceivable, he finished up. Army at that point asked the pilot what he thought the odds were of a beginner with extremely constrained training, that is somebody like Hanger, having the capacity to hit an objective with pinpoint precision. 0, the pilot answered. He included that a traveler fly's autopilot isn't even that great, and, on the off chance that it were on, it would not enable the plane to fly at a low elevation, not to mention treetop level.